Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Daily Stack. This is Rob from Bitcoin News. We got the boys from 21 Rates, and very gratefully, we are joined today by Mauricio, the co-founder of Ledn, one of the premier lending applications platforms in the Bitcoin space. He's also a native of Venezuela, has an inside scoop into what is actually going on in the country and whether that 600,000 Bitcoin stash that was reportedly held by the Venezuelan government actually exists or does not. Mauricio, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Pretty eventful few days. And yeah, happy to chat Venezuela and Bitcoin, my two favorite topics.
Yeah, absolutely. We know you have a limited amount of time, so jump right into it. Tell us just quickly your story of growing up in Venezuela, having to leave, and how Bitcoin factored into all of it.
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Venezuela. My whole family, several generations in Venezuela. My grandmother moved from Venezuela from Italy. My parents were both born in Venezuela. I was born in Venezuela. My brothers were aunts, cousins, family, everything. And I grew up in the mid-'80s and '90s in a town called Bartolomeo, then the center of the country. Beautiful upbringing. It's like a movie, I remember have very fond memories of my childhood. And it was a great place, fantastic place to grow up. And when I turned 15 in 1999, I heard about this guy called Hugo Chavez. And Hugo Chavez had just come, he was a two-time, he's a failed military, member of the military in Venezuela with two failed attempts at a coup d'etat in 1992. And I think the second one was in 1994. And he was in jail. And he had threatened the incumbent president at the time, Rafael Caldera, with a third attempt of a coup because he still had support even from within jail. So Caldera got the bright idea to release him so to prevent the coup and say, don't overthrow me by force. Let's run in the polls. If you're so good, let's run in the polls. So Chavez gets his pardon. First thing he does, gets on a plane to Cuba, gets all his training, comes back with this brilliantly articulated campaign, middle of the road. Businesses, we're not going to crush you. People, I'm going to make it better. Kumbaya, let's all come together and make a country great. And he wins the election democratically. And people who knew sort of his background and what he was planning to do were immediately nervous and scared. And my family was included. We went to Florida and spent 2 years trying to sort of wait out the Chavista wave. But the Chavista wave, a lot of people thought it was a one-term affair and that democracy would allow the return to the sort of free and fair elections. But what Chavez did is he immediately rewrote the constitution, changed the name of the flag, eliminated the limit on terms, expanded the term for 6 years, changed the name of the country, changed the time zone, changed the coat of arms. He wanted to basically make it very clear that Venezuela was basically his and ravaged her constitution, changed electoral rules, changed the judges, the tribunals, like completely dismantled the democratic institutions. And he also dismantled the Venezuelan oil company, PDVSA, which when he took over was producing 3.5 million barrels of oil per day. 1999. Today, Venezuela produces 800,000 barrels 26 years later. Less than a third. So it's really like an embarrassing track record of performance. Mind you, while he was doing this, because the international markets understood that Chavez was basically going to decimate Venezuelan oil production, after the first few years he took office, oil was ripping. Oil went from like 20 to 120. So his budget literally 6x'd under his nose. And he was using that extra money to create the illusion that Venezuela was going through a strong economic renaissance. So he started subsidizing imports of foreign beef, foreign chicken, foreign liquor, like booze, and it was basically subsidized on the shelves. So you can buy a bottle of not a bottle, you can buy a pound of like grade A steak for like 50 cents, $1. Yeah. You could buy 18-year-old scotch for like $5 a bottle. And so people were walking around saying communism is fantastic. Like I am doing so great. And all the while he was doing that, he was dismantling the actual private productive apparatus. When Chavez came in, there were 14,000 private businesses in Venezuela. in 1999. By 2010, there were only 4,000 private businesses left, and 600 of those 4,000 were state-owned. Chavez started expropriating businesses and properties on national television, and now the whole thing looked like it ended when Chavez died of cancer in 2013. And that triggered an election we all thought was going to give us back the country. So a lot of people living abroad, myself included, we saved the money and flew in to vote because we knew the regime wouldn't count the international votes. They still don't. But we flew in and we voted. And every single person from either side of the fence that day would have told you that Chavismo lost. But at that point, Chavismo was so entrenched, they had committed so many crimes against humanity that if they turned over power, half of their cabinet was going to go to jail. And so they said, no, you didn't win. We won. There will be no recount. And we went out to the voting centers and demanded a recount. And that was the first time I've ever heard and seen real bullets shot at protesters. I was in the protest with someone I know got shot and killed. And that night, my mom and my wife sat me down and said, you need to leave, because I was not prepared to leave. I didn't want to. I didn't feel like it. I was, the emotions sort of take over you when you get that upset, and so much is taken away from you. But my family said, my mom sat me down, and in many families where the country's falling apart, they send their sort of most willing child abroad with the goal that if things fall apart in the country, that person's going to take the family out. And that was in many ways me and my family. So my mom was basically like, you are the only thing we have outside. Don't waste your life down here. Like, there's enough of us already doing that. Go try to help from abroad. Go try to get your brothers and your family out. And that's the next day I got on that plane. And after that election, when Venezuelans realized that democracy had been killed, that's why the massive migration and hyperinflation waves in Venezuela started after 2013, because that was the day democracy died. And that was the date that triggered 9 million people, the largest migration crisis in the continental Americas and modern history. 9 million people out of a country of 30 million were forced to flee. And the migration, plus that's what triggered the hyperinflation, because to leave, you have to fire sell your assets. And you fire sell your assets and you fire sell your currency. And so this is what imploded the Bolivar, imploded asset prices in real terms, nominal terms. It was a joke because it was in Bolivares, but the real terms, everything you owned was basically disintegrating. And so, funny enough, that all happened in 2013. In 2014, my youngest brother, Mario, was my last brother studying in Venezuela, graduates from university in Venezuela. And he, like me, was a little younger and a little more rebellious. He didn't want to leave. And so my parents were really trying to encourage him to do something abroad, go get a job abroad, go start a business abroad. But he didn't want to. And he came to my parents with an ultimatum, said, I'm not leaving. I'm going to build something here, and this is what I'm going to build. And if you guys don't support me, I'm leaving the house and I'm selling my cars. And that project that he presented my dad as an ultimatum was buying Bitcoin mining equipment. And my dad sends me the white paper that night, and he says, I don't know anything about this. Your brother seems pretty serious. Like, what do you think? And that's the first time I read the white paper. And all I understood from it was there's these computers that require a lot of energy, which luckily is subsidized in Venezuela. And the output is this globally sellable asset, unseizable, uncensorable, can be sold in the free market for dollars with no capital controls or any one intervention, like any possible intervention on price discovery. Out of everything you could do in Venezuela, this sounds like probably the best thing. And so I said, sure. So my brother starts mining Bitcoin. And all of a sudden I fly back 6 months later, and when my friends are all basically in disarray, selling their assets, looking for places to go, my youngest brother is looking for places to rent to expand his facility. He's the only guy walking with a smile. And everybody was asking us, what are you guys doing? And so slowly my other brother found out. He started mining. My parents were mining pretty much right away. My uncles start mining. My cousins start mining. We even used an extra room in my grandma's house to plug in a GPU rig. And so this thing goes viral. My friends start coming to visit me saying, what are you doing? How are you making money? How are you guys surviving? And so we show them and we help people, like many people, like this is how you set up this is how you order the equipment from Bitmain. This is how you need to set up the electricity. This is how you need to set up the fans for the cooling. And so hundreds of people start mining. You know, I remember people came to tour our facilities like multiple times a day for a while. And so that was sort of the golden age of Venezuelan mining, 2015 to 2017. And then in 2018, the regime, every Christmas since Chavez died, Maduro had to find a way to pay his death squads. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people that doesn't really click, but like when you have people doing nasty things for you, and you have to pay them, you can't necessarily pay those people on the books. Yeah. And so you have to find these off the books ways of getting them paid. And these off the books ways, one of them was raiding private inventory, private assets. And in the Christmas of 2017, Maduro, nobody had brought anything in Venezuela because you were so tired of getting your inventory ravaged on Christmas. It was just like a lottery. If your number got picked, you got wiped. And so nobody brought anything. So towards the end of 2017, Maduro was basically checking what's been being imported. Nothing's being built in the country. So let's look at the stuff that's coming in. And they keep seeing this name, Bitmain. And they say, what is this? It's like, these are Bitcoin mining equipment, mining computers, ASICs. And then they basically clue in that they can go steal these ASICs and mine for themselves. And so they start this education campaign around the country. Education, I say, because it was supposedly an education campaign around the petro. But the petro, a currency that was never meant to be mined, these education shows all had ASIC explanations. This is what they sound like. This is what they smell like. What they sound like. Their heat print, the amount of money they produce. Basically, this is how to find them. This is a blueprint on how to find them. And literally a month after those educational circuits, all of us miners started getting surprise visits from people dressed up as utility reps, municipality reps. And then literally days after that, they just became full-on break-ins into the mines with like guns and seizing, extorting people. They came to our facility in January 2018. My brother was the only one in the country at the time. Most of the rest of the family was away. And they raided him. They extorted him. They told him they know where their kids live, where they go to school, where he works. And they were demanding $25,000 and the equipment to not put my brother in jail on some made up charges. And that was the night my brother decided that he was going to leave the country with his wife and two kids. Obviously the only thing he could take with him was his Bitcoin, but luckily he had enough by that point to rebuild abroad. And that's how he left. Literally, wow. 2 kids, a wife, suitcase, and a treasure. And that was then he left, and he was able to cross the border and leave with his Bitcoin. And by that point, I was already sold on Bitcoin. But that just cemented the whole thing. And from that day on, I've been really giving my life to this professionally, and personally, a lot of it to Venezuela still. I'm very passionate about those two things. But sorry, that was a long rant.
I think we're all blown away. That was quite the story, to say the least. And there's moments where I felt emotional with you. I mean, that's pretty wild that you had to live through that. I think a lot of us live in the U.S. and we still somewhat trust our banks. We trust our government more or less, but feels like things are shaky here too. Not at all to that capacity, of course, but I don't know. You start to see some of these cities and start to move that direction. Like I'm in New York. I won't compare the two, but there's a lot of like similarities in how they come up and whatnot. So, yeah, it's interesting. So like present day now, with Maduro now is in custody, going back to the 600,000 Bitcoin they say they have in the reserve. Like, what's that feel like to you? Is that money actually still there? Is that Bitcoin still there? You said it went to like the death squads. Is that pushed out or is it America?
Yeah.
to get 600,000 Bitcoin?
No, I mean, I'll start with the sort of meta thesis for me on this, which is the Venezuelan government is just way too corrupt and incompetent to have amassed that amount of Bitcoin for the benefit of the Venezuelan people. There's just no plausible way that I can believe that. And now beyond that, I like looking at facts and data and evidence to support my claims. So if you go through the actual allegations or rumors, they say that there was a big gold swap done by Alex Saab in 2018 that was swapped into Bitcoin, $2.7 billion. I'll tell you why I think that's a lie. They say that that trade occurred in 2018 and it was done by Mr. Alex Saab. Mr. Alex Saab was actually already in U.S. custody from 2020 to 2023. He was released on December 2023 back to the Maduro regime from the Chavez for the Biden administration through a prisoner swap. If you run the numbers based on the estimates, he would have swapped $2.7 billion between $3,000 and $10,000 worth per Bitcoin. So that amount of money that he was under his control could have been between $10 to $20 billion at the time of his release. At the time of his release, the Venezuelan Central Bank had $10 billion in its reserves. If a guy controlling up to 2 times the assets of the Venezuelan Central Bank was getting released to a antagonist regime on December 2023, I think we would have known. I think we would have known. But the bigger one is there is no on-chain activity that can be linked or tracked or traced back to this transaction. So there's just no evidence, and the public record, frankly, I don't think supports the allegations. That's on the swap, which is the sort of more material part of this calculation. The second one is they claim that Venezuela received Bitcoin payments for oil, which I don't dispute. I know they did, and crypto for some oil shipments. That's not what I'm disputing. What I'm disputing is the fact that those sales would have never, the profit, if any, from any of those sales would not have accrued back to the Venezuelan state. It would have stayed in the pockets of corrupt officials. And the reason I say that is because Maduro and Chavez have had a long history of extreme corruption, and this is very well documented. Just to focus on one corruption case linking the PDVSA, the state oil-owned company, with the crypto regulator, which was Sunacrypt. On March 2023, there was an embezzlement scheme that was discovered in Venezuela which resulted in the shutdown of the Venezuelan crypto regulator. And this was discovered that some members of PDVSA and Sunacrypt, the regulator, and the state oil company had privately embezzled $17.6 billion to their own pockets from PDVSA oil sales. And that's just one corruption case. If you want, I would also welcome you to Google who Tarek El Aissami is and the money he stole from Venezuela, because I think that's another $25 billion that he stole afterwards. So all this to say, if there was any oil sales price in crypto, the profits, if any, went to private pockets, and what PDVSA got was whatever it needed to barely exist, turned into bolívares. And there's no chance those profits would have been put away for the benefit of the Venezuelan people. I just find that incredibly hard to believe.
Yeah.
And to end my rant on the mining equipment, I know they stole mining equipment because some of it was mine. Some of it was our family's. And I know they operated it because you should see the conditions it was in when they gave it back to us 5 years later. Clearly, they had run those machines to the ground. They just gave us the aluminum casings. However, what I will say is those machines were probably being operated by private actors off the books and not connected to any regime or government associated wallets. These machines were operated by by thugs, by generals that were never doing this on behalf of the government. They were doing it for themselves with building equipment with the blessing of the regime, but never for the regime. And so for those reasons, I don't believe there's any Bitcoin in Venezuela meaningful. There might be some. There's lots of Bitcoin in the country. It's just not in the hands of the regime.
Yeah. Mauricio, I know you got to hop quickly. Looking forward and what you're looking at now, like what are you the most optimistic about what can happen? Do you believe it's more of people are going to see, individual Venezuelans are going to see, oh, I need to move more assets into Bitcoin. This is my, resistance money. Or do you think it's something that is more state driven with Maria Corina and having a leader that is going to be pro Bitcoin and Bitcoin forward?
Yeah, I think there's a big opportunity in Venezuela to create a sort of a mining industry, a Bitcoin mining industry. The challenge with that, though, is that Venezuela has the Venezuelan grid is in very bad shape. Venezuela has lots and lots of challenges with energy production. So we first have to fix the grid and light up the hospitals 24 hours before we can think of going to mine Bitcoin. Now, there might be big opportunities to do flare, mining, which is sort of like already sort of remote off-grid type of energy that we could pocket and monetize. That would be great. I think it's a good opportunity to do so. But from the sort of data center perspective, we still have ways to fix the very basic, hospitals and factories before we can even think of, plugging it into mining equipment. I do think that Venezuela, the one opportunity that I see, frankly, huge, is the fact that we have to rebuild the entire Venezuelan financial system. Nobody trusts the banks. Every single bank is captured by the regime. And so Venezuelans have no reliable way to bank. And I think that's going to be a big opportunity. Obviously, that's something that we're very excited about at Ledn because it's a market we know better than I think anyone else. And stablecoins have really taken over the country. So obviously, we're backed by Tether. So there's a strong alignment for us in terms of stablecoins. And we see a big opportunity if and when the market or Venezuela returns to freedom.
We'll have to have you back. Yeah,
man. I know. We got short time
we need
here.
2 hours next time with you.
No. I'm happy to do it again. It's been a wild few days, but I'm happy to come back. I know it was like there's lots more that I would love to say.
Yeah,
but we can do this later this week or next week. Up to you guys.
Yeah. We'll find time and bring you back pretty quickly because I think this is important conversation, very relevant, obviously, with everything that's happening. So. Appreciate you popping on, and always good to see you. And we'll be in touch to bring you back for part 2 of this.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, guys. Chat soon.
Thanks.
Cheers.
So for everyone listening, we're going to take a quick little break here, and then we'll be back for the midweek markets, which is going to be very exciting. We got a special guest, Matt Ober, from Social Leverage. So he's a VC. Very early in Robinhood, a lot of the degenerate economy as well. Partnered with over at StockTwits with Howard Lindzen. So it should be a really exciting episode as well. Jody or Rob, anything from you guys?
I mean, that was super powerful.
Yeah.
I know he's often talked about his story of his brother mining Bitcoin in Venezuela to help his family and get money out and whatnot. But to hear it in the context of everything we've learned in the last week, it definitely adds some more color and a real human element. And the fact that he lost a friend in the protest that brought Maduro to power, right? I mean, that's really chilling stuff, and it goes to show that there's a whole lot going on in that world, and us here in America, we think that we have things to complain about, but we are pretty lucky. And so everybody, thank you for watching. I mean, do you want to do some news before the next guest comes on, or we got a video to pop on? Tell me, what's the move here?
We were going to do a video, but if you want to run through some news, we could. I think that's what we were going to do a little bit with Matt, though. So,
okay.
Why don't we take a little break, put the price of Bitcoin up there, and then we'll be back in about 25 minutes or so.
Cool.
Go, shorty, it's your birthday. Yeah. You can find me in the club, a bottle full of bub. Look, mommy, I got the X if you're into taking drugs. I'm into having sex, I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug if you're into getting rubbed. When I put up out front, you see the Benz on dubs. 20 deep in the spot, 29s in the club. They heard I roll with D. Now they show me lookers like I'm hoes wanna fuck, they can't get enough. Ain't nothing changed, G's up, hoes down. Roll out a weed up, exhibit in the town. I got hit, but I don't walk with a limp. They love me like pot, coast to coast, don't slip. Full of folks and money on my mind. $1 million out the deal, still on my grind. Oh, you can find me in the club, bottle full of bug. Mommy, I got the X if you're into taking drugs. I'm into having sex, I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug if you're into getting rough. Oh, come give me a hug if you're into getting rough. Oh, come give me a hug if you're into getting rough. Toasting to the good life. You hating, you should be happy I made it right. When my joint bump in the club, it's on. Wink at a girl, she gone by the song. Roof on fire, let the mother burn. Talk money, I don't ever get concerned. Switch the style up, watch the money pile up. We can smash a bottle, you know what's up. You can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. Mommy got the X if you're into taking drugs. I'm into having sex, I ain't into making love. Yeah! Taking drugs, I'm into having sex, I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug if you're into getting rough. So come give me a hug if you're into getting rough. Go, shorty, it's your birthday. Yeah. Yeah. You can find me in the club, a bottle full of bub. Look, mommy, I got the X if you're into taking drugs. I'm into having sex.
Yeah. Let's take them back. Yeah, let's take them back. my mommy kissing a girl. Confusion occurs, coming up in the cold world. Daddy ain't around, probably out committing felonies. My favorite rapper used to sing, check out my melody. I wanna live good, so shit, I sell dope for a 4-finger ring, one of them gold ropes. Nana told me if I pass, I'd get a sheepskin coat. If I can move a few packs, I'd get the hat, now that'd be dope. Tossed and turned in my sleep that night. Woke up the next morning, niggas that stole my bike. Different day, same shit, ain't nothing good in the hood. I'd run away from this bitch and never come back if I could. Hate it, I love it, the underdog's on top. And I'm gon' shine on me until my heart stops. Go ahead, envy me, I'm Raps MVP. And I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Did you know me? Hate it, love it, the underdog's on top. And I'm gon' shine on it, yeah. Go ahead, envy me, I'm Raps MVP. And I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Did you know that? On the grill of my low rider, guns on both sides. Right above the gold wires, I'll 4-5, I'm kill a nigga on my song and really do it. That's the true meaning of a ghost rider. 10 G's will take your daughter out of Air Forces. Believe me, homie, I know all about losses. I'm from Compton where the wrong colors be cautious. One phone call, I'll have your body dumped in Marcy. I stay strapped like car seats. Been banging since my little nigga Rob got killed for his Barclays. That's 10 years, I told Pooh in 95. I'll kill you if you try me for my Air Max 95. Told Banks when I met him, I'm a ride. And if I gotta die, I'd rather homicide. I ain't had 50 when my grandmama died. Now I'm going back to Cali with my Jacob on, see how time flies. Hate it, I love it, the underdogs on top. And I'm gon' shine, homie, yeah. Stop. Go ahead, envy me, I'm Raps MVP. And I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Get to know me. Hate it, I love it, the underdogs on top. And I'm gon' shine on it, hey. Go ahead, MVP, I'm Raps MVP. And I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me, hey. From the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend. The cold world that we in, full of pressure and pain. I thought it would change and stay in the same. How many of them boys is with you? When you had that little TV, you had to hit on to get a picture. I'm walking with a snub, cause niggas do a lot of slick talking in the club till they coughing on the rug. Ain't never had much but a Walkman and a bud. My role model is gone, snorting up his drugs. Bad enough they want me to choke. My boy just got poked in the throat. Now it's an RIP shirt in my coat. Now I'm speeding, reminiscing, holding my weed and never listen. If I see him, I'ma lift him, and maybe that'll even the scope. But if not, it'll be me on the floor. Yeah. Hate it, love it, the underdogs on top. And I'm gon' shine on me, yeah. Go ahead and MVP, I'm Raps MVP. I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to nowhere, so you can get to know me. Hate it, love it, the underdogs on top. And I'm gon' shine on me, yeah. Go ahead and MVP, I'm Raps MVP. I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Whoa. From the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend. The cold world that we in is full of pressure and pain. Nigga, now listen again. Used to see 5-0, throw the crack by the bench. Now I'm fucking with 5-0, it's all start to make sense. My mom's happy she ain't gotta pay the rent. And she got a red bow on that brand new Benz. Waiting on shy money to lane, sitting in the rain, thinking how they spent $30 million on airplanes. When this kid's starving, pack is gone and Brenda still throwing babies in the garbage. I wanna know what's going on like I hear Marvin. No school books, they use that wood to build coffins. Whenever I'm in the booth and I get exhausted, I think what if Marie Baker got that abortion? I love you, ma. Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top and I'm gonna shine on it. Oh, stop. Go ahead, MVP. I'm Raps MVP. I ain't gon' know it, so you can get to know it, so you can get to know me. Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top and I'm gonna shine on it. Oh, stop. Go ahead, MVP. I'm Raps MVP. I ain't gon' know it, so you can get to know me. I started out at 15, scared as hell. I took 30 off a pad, made themselves as a youth. Man, I used to betting for loot, put them bookers too, and my group of fed club, sapping using divas, out in the niche. I'm a whipper wish and found my peace, and the vibes on right, the thunder down. Been a burst for the petty, so forget the ways. Hate it or love it. MVP, I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Yeah. Let's take them back. Yeah, let's take them back. Coming up, I was confused. My mommy kissing a girl. Confusion occurs, coming up in the cold world. Daddy ain't around, probably out committing felonies. My favorite rapper used to sing, check, check out my melody. I wanna live good, so shit, I sell dope for a 4-finger ring, one of them gold ropes. Nana told me if I pass, I'd get a sheepskin coat. If I can move a few packs, I'd get the hat, now that'd be dope. Tossed and turned in my sleep that night. Woke up the next morning, niggas that stole my bike. Different day, same shit, ain't nothing good in the hood. I'd run away from this bitch and never come back if I could. Hate it, I love it, the underdog's on top. And I'm gonna shine on it until my heart stops. Go ahead, envy me, I'm Raps MVP. And I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Did you know me? Hate it, love it, the underdog's on top. And I'm gonna shine on it, yeah. Go ahead, envy me, I'm Raps MVP. And I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Did you know me? On the grill of my low rider, guns on both sides. Right above the gold wires, I 4-5, I'm kill a nigga on my song and really do it. That's the true meaning of a ghost rider. 10 G's will take your daughter out of Air Forces. Believe me, homie, I know all about losses. I'm from Compton where the wrong colors be cautious. One phone call, I'll have your body dumped in Marcy. I stay strapped like car seats. Been banging since my little nigga Rob got killed for his Barclays. That's 10 years as I told Pooh in 95. I'll kill you if you try me for my Air Max 95. Told Banks when I met him I'm a ride. And if I gotta die, I'd rather homicide. I ain't had 50 when my grandmama died. Now I'm going back to Cali with my Jacob on, see how time flies. Hate it, I love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie. Yeah. Stop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere. So you can get to know me. Get to know me. Hate it, I love it. The underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie. Hey. Go ahead, MVP. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere. So you can get to know me. Hey. From the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend. The cold world that we in is full of pressure and pain. I thought it would change and stay in the same. How many of them boys is with you? When you had that little TV, you had to hit on to get a picture. I'm walking with a snub, cause niggas do a lot of slick talking. In the club till they coughing on the rug. Ain't never had much but a Walkman and a bud. My role model is gone, snorting up his drugs. Bad enough they want me to choke. My boy just got poked in the throat. Now it's an RIP shirt in my coat. Now I'm speeding, reminiscing, holding my weed and never listen. If I see him, I'ma lift him, and maybe that'll even the scope. But if not, it'll be me on the floor. Yeah. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine on me. Yeah. Go ahead and MVP. I'm Raps MVP. I ain't going nowhere. So you can get to nowhere, so you can get to know me. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine on me. Yeah. Go ahead and MVP. I'm Raps MVP. I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Whoa. From the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend. The cold world that we in is full of pressure and pain. Nigga, now listen again. Used to see 5-0, throw the crack by the bench. Now I'm fucking with 5-0. It's all starting to make sense. My mom's happy she ain't gotta pay the rent. And she got a red bow on that brand new Benz. Waiting on shot money to lane, sitting in the rain, thinking how they spent $30 million on airplanes. When this kid's starving, pack is gone and Brenda still throwing babies in the garbage. I wanna know what's going on like I hear Marvin. No school books, they use that wood to build coffins. Whenever I'm in the booth and I get exhausted, I think what if Marie Baker got that abortion? I love you, man. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine on it. Oh, stop. Go ahead and MVP. I'm Raps MVP. I ain't gon' nowhere, so you can get to know it, so you can get to know me. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine on it. Oh, stop. Go ahead and MVP. I'm Raps MVP. I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. I started out at 15, scared as hell. I took 30 off a pad and made them sales as a youth. Man, I used to betting for loot, put them bookless too, and my group of fed up, sapping using Tifa, out in the decent. I'm a whipper wish and found my peace, and the vibes on right, on the ground. Been the first to the petty, so forget the ways. Hate it or love it. MVP, I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. again. Shady's back, tell a friend. Guess who's back, guess who's back, guess who's back. Guess who's back, guess who's back, guess who's back. Guess who's back, guess who's back, guess who's back, guess who's back. Na 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 na. I've created a monster, 'cause nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want Shady, I'm chopped liver. Well, if you want Shady, this is what I give you. A little bit of me mixed with some hard liquor. Some vodka that'll jumpstart my heart quicker than a shock when I get shot at the hospital by the doctor when I'm not cooperating. When I'm rocking the table while he's operating. Hey, you waited this long to stop debating, 'cause I'm back, I'm on the. I know that you got a job, Miss Cheney, but your husband's heart problems complicating, so the FCC won't let me be. Or let me be me, so let me see. They try to shut me down on MTV, but it feels so empty without me. So come on, dip, bum on your lips, jump back, jiggle the hip, and wiggle a bit and get ready, 'cause this is about to get heavy. I just settled all my lawsuits. F you, Debbie. Now this look like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. This look like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. Little hellions kids feeling rebellious, embarrassed. Their parents still listen to Elvis. They start feeling like prisoners, helpless, till someone comes along on a mission and yells, bitch. A visionary vision is scary. Could start a revolution, pollute in the airwaves, a rebel. So just let me revel and bask in the fact that I got everyone kissing my ass. And it's a disaster, such a catastrophe for you to see so damn much of my ass. You asked for me, well I'm back. Na 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 na. Fix your bend antenna, tune it in, and then I'm gonna enter it up under your nails like a splinter. The center of attention, back for the winner. I'm interested in the best thing since wrestling, investing in your kids' ears and nesting, testing. Attention, please feel the tension. Soon as someone mentions me, here's my 10 cents. My 2 cents is free, a nuisance. Who sent you sent for me? Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. This looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. A tisket, a tasket, I go tit for tat with anybody who's talking this and that. Chris Kirkpatrick, you can get your ass kicked worse than them little Limp Bizkit bastards. And Moby, you could get stomped by Obi. You 36-year-old bald-headed me, you don't know me, you're too old, let go, it's over. Nobody listens to techno, now let's go, just give me the signal. I'll be there with a whole list full of new insults. I've been dope, so stands forward a pencil, ever since Prince turned himself into a symbol. But sometimes, man, it just seems everybody only wants to discuss me, so this must mean I'm disgusting, but it's just me, I'm just obscene. Yeah. Though I'm not the first king of controversy, I am the worst thing since Elvis Presley to do black music so selfishly and use it to get myself wealthy. Hey. There's a concept that works, 20 million other white rappers emerge, but no matter how many fish in the sea, it'll
Welcome back. Jody's hopping on, and Matt, our guest, is hopping on as well. World looks a lot different in the past 48 hours since we've last spoke, but very excited to have Matt on. If you guys are unfamiliar, he is in venture. One of my first podcasts ever was an interview with Howard Lindzon, who's a partner of yours over at Social Leverage, early investor at Robinhood. When people say they have a quant, you were that quant back in the day as well. So welcome, first and foremost, Matt.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Welcome, Matt.
So I got to ask the first question. I do want to dig in a little bit background here with kind of what you were doing with Dan Loeb over at Chief Data Scientist. I thought it was really interesting in taking data points that not a lot of people are thinking about when it comes to trading and leveraging that. Like, I think I was looking at stories of you checking out receipts, from someone that went to Starbucks, taking those learnings, understanding where else they're going to be purchasing and whatnot. So let's do a quick background on kind of your history.
Yeah. So I was at Third Point for about 5 years. I think Dan always had this thought, we're investing in Google, Alibaba, all the like smartest companies in the world using data and AI. How are we still investing like the old way? And so he brought me in as chief data scientist, which I don't think I'm really a chief data scientist by background from education, but like build out like this team and like how do we use all this data that's out there in the world to make better investment decisions? And like comment like you made, like how do you invest in Starbucks if you don't look at like app data, right? Everybody's using their Starbucks app to buy a coffee, and credit card data is out there and it's proven to be very like accurate. Like just because you don't have, somebody technical on the team, like you can find out how Starbucks is doing on sales on a daily basis right now. So we took that and just kind of did it at like scale across every company we're investing in or thinking of investing in. And, it was exciting. And, if you're doing a long, obviously that makes sense. We took over, Campbell's Soup as an activist. You can imagine all the brands and companies they own. You find fraud on shorts. Those were some of the most exciting things where you like the data doesn't add up and you end up shorting a company and they become a fraud. So a lot of exciting things we did there. Equity credit. We did a lot of private investments. You can still use data on the private side. And so I got to do that, see everything from, activists taking over companies to, investing in, companies in Latin America. And before that, I was at a quantitative hedge fund called WorldQuant, which in the early days, the founder there, Igor Tulchinsky, had this vision of if you can consume more data than anybody in the world, you can manage more money. And so we went on this 6-year run of essentially buying as much data as we could, spending hundreds of millions of dollars buying data. And we ended up hiring 600 PhD researchers to build systematic strategies. And so I kind of led that effort.
Yeah. How has that changed? And I'd love to just dig a little bit deeper with like how you met Howard, social leverage. I met him through StockTwits initially. So for those that are familiar with the OG StockTwits, still a great platform today. But in terms of like early investing in Robinhood, I was looking at some of your portfolio companies. I think that was probably the biggest, incredible. I remember that stock being at like $20. It felt like yesterday. And now they're getting into tokenization. They're doing prediction markets, a million things. And you guys have this whole aura around this degen. I know Howard talks about this a lot, the degenerate economy coming up. So can you touch on that a little bit? And how has that shifted now coming from your old world with all the AI, infusion that, you're seeing companies pop up now with 3 people can start a business. Everything's Instagram now today.
Yeah. So I met Howard the same as you. I actually cold called Howard when he was at StockTwits when I was at WorldQuant. And we were his first customer buying the data API. So from a quantitative hedge fund, we used the entire feed to, trade the market, see where the retail sentiment was. So that's how we got to know each other. I invested alongside him because WorldQuant, we started a ventures unit, and then I became an LP. And so I've actually known him, Tom, and Gary for, almost 17 years. So small world, how those things kind of happen. Howard talks about the degenerate economy. We think about like just being a degen, right? Like, you can be laying in bed trading crypto. Now you can do prediction markets on Robinhood, combos or parlays, order yourself a burrito. Everything can be done through the phone while you're vaping and drinking an energy drink. I think Howard's been right about the degen economy, where it's just like, prediction markets are, from the investing side, we used to use prediction market data before it was like Polymarket and Kalshi. There was all these prediction market like websites that weren't legal, but you could get where's interest rates going to go in the economy? For me, like, why would I ever, have a gambling app living in California? You can't actually sports gamble. But now with Robinhood, you place a bet on the 49ers game this weekend.
Yeah.
And, I can do a combo or parlay. I mean, pretty amazing while I also add more stock. I think every time I take a pitch these days, though, for on the venture side, that's like building the next Robinhood or trying to kind of encroach on them, I think I buy more stock personally in my PA Robinhood. Because they have prediction markets, they are getting into wealth management, they've got their own like media and terminal type of thing, which is just going to keep people more locked in. They've got the credit card business, they're building banking. Like I'm surprised. I don't know how they're not a $500 billion market cap in the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, math on prediction markets alone, like they bought MyX, right, which was the old Ledger. So like their partnership with Kalshi, we'll see where that goes. But they could, I think Vlad said he wants to do 1 trillion contracts a month. That would be like 120 billion in cash flow for them, just off prediction markets. That alone makes them $1 trillion company, right? So I think their wealth management thing is also sneaky. They bought Trade PMR, which was like a custodian that nobody really paid attention to. So they're making all the right bets. We're investors in Alpaca now, which is kind of like the infrastructure to build Robinhood everywhere. So I think we're now kind of getting to see like the rest of the world build their Robinhoods in Turkey and the Middle East, and see how prediction markets go there. Gambling's not as prominent in other countries as it is maybe in the US for the degen. So, but I think there will be a degen-esque type of move there. But we're
Are they getting into Asia at all? Because I know Asia, you go there and everyone makes America look chill when it comes to like gambling.
They're in Asia, the Middle East. I think the fastest growing areas are the Middle East and Turkey, and you're seeing Indonesia obviously growing pretty rapidly. Alpaca rolled out options. They've always had crypto. So like you're seeing like, what we saw with Robinhood. Now, like if everybody wants to compete, especially globally, they're building those rails, right? And who else do you really have? You have Drive Wealth and Apex. I think Alpaca really is, API first. So, I'm excited about that. I think your question on, these 3-person teams and AI and everything, I think it's exciting to think that you can build these like, companies with like, maybe less than 10 people that it can do hundreds of millions in revenue. I think for me,
VC's dream.
For me, like I spent all my time in career on the investment side, a lot in the data space. And I think of like FactSet and Bloomberg and S&P, like they have tens of thousands of people like doing data collection. We have a company called Fiscal AI. Like they're building these data companies with like, 50 people, but like you can build a multi-billion-dollar data business. You don't need 10,000 people collecting and doing, manual data entry. Like you can use AI to look at a PDF, then verify like the API files and the JSON files and do web scraping. And then like, do 4 or 5 layers of AI agents. I always kind of hate how AI agents have become like such the popular thing now, but like with real use cases, it's pretty cool to see, what once was like, a 50,000 person organization. Can you rebuild that with 100 people? I actually think we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah. Our algorithm this week is all memes focused on, people using like Claude code to build their own prediction market, like trading algorithm, trading bot, AI agent. And it's funny.
I've watched a lot of those videos.
It's super interesting. And there's like a grain of truth in all of it. Like this, somebody had like found an edge, but then every edge gets, I think, gobbled up pretty quickly. I guess when you look at when prediction markets came out, was that something that immediately was evident to you as like, oh, this is going to take off? Or did it take a minute?
It took time because I think like you have the regulatory, obviously. Yeah. I think we have always said like when Trump came into office, like whether politics aside, like it was good for financial regulation in terms of like taking down a lot of the barriers. I think Robinhood, in my opinion, really opened the door for prediction markets because when they went all in, like, they've got the user base. I wrote something this morning where I kind of look at prediction markets where it's like small micro caps, and then you have your large caps. Like, there's a guy named Chris Camillo who I'm good friends with, who runs Dumb Money TV. He's like a social ARB investor. Like this is the best time in the world to be a social ARB investor, where like you can, if you know about music, you can make a lot of money in the prediction markets, like with Spotify, who's going to be the next Bad Bunny, right? But like if you think about all those are going to be these micro markets, and then you have these huge big markets where the institutions are coming, right? Polymarket took $2 billion from ICE. Like the exchanges are coming. Fanatics has a prediction market. I think we're going to have too many like quote unquote exchanges. I worry that Polymarket and Kalshi like are going to have a lot of the big guys come in, right? You're going to see the NASDAQ and all of them. And like, then like, what does that do for, where our eyeballs go and where trades get done? It's not like there's a big spread for these guys that they're making. But I think it's exciting as an end user. And I think it's just going to be another, financial instrument, right? We have options, we have futures, we have perps. Now we're going to have predictions, and prediction markets just have such a long tail of smaller markets.
I want to get into Venezuela here in just a second, but as a bridge here, coming from the quant side of things, does retail stand a chance in any of these right now? You saw, I don't know, there was like I'm going to mess up the number, but let's call it like $20 million bet that Maduro was going to get ousted like 24 hours before that happened, right? So someone clearly had some information, maybe they're connected to the White House, who knows, right? But does that happen? The speed of this information, does corporate just crush retail even more now?
I think two things. I think Brian Armstrong made a comment about, from Coinbase that like prediction markets, one of the features is inside information. Right. And then that happened. I think there's a lot of ARB right now. Like if you know any sort of web scraping and data collection, like you can probably catch these trends and anomalies. I mean, I've seen a few dozen pitches from startups where like I kind of like walk away being like, you should just be making money on your own.
Right.
Yes. I think it's like social ARB, what Chris Camilla says, like Wall Street's going to go towards where they can put large amounts of money. Like there wasn't liquidity on Maduro to put $500 million to work. Right. So I think that there's going to be the large caps, which is like, what are interest rates? How many times are interest rates going to get cut next year? And like, when will SpaceX go public and who will be the lead, like banker on that? And I think like you'll see the big guys providing liquidity. I'm sure Citadel Securities and Jump and everybody will be making markets. And then like, you're going to have this long tail of like from Spotify to who wins the Grammys and the Golden Globes. And like, those will be smaller markets. Like what will be like, the best selling shoe from Nike on StockX next year. Like those are smaller markets where like, small cap managers make big returns, but they're very volatile, but you can't put a lot of money to work. When we were at WorldQuant, we'd always say like, we need to be putting hundreds of, millions of dollars to work on a regular basis. Or if you're at Third Point, right, you're not looking at companies at less than a 10 billion market cap. You need to be doing 50 million trade blocks. It doesn't move the needle otherwise.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that can make money in those small spaces, and like, there's opportunity there. So like, I think you don't stand a chance at playing the big game, but like, there's a prediction market right now that like Jesus Christ will like rise by 95 cents on the dollar. Somebody's making 5 cents on the other side of that. Pretty low risk, right? Like, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, especially with the sports books, because I was going back and forth. I was like, wait a second. You could actually, a lot of the time, the favorites are worse on Polymarket, but if you're betting the underdog, you can actually make a lot more going through a prediction market than you can through the sports.
Yeah, I was doing that for Niner games early in the season when we had like injuries, and like it just seemed like the spread was so off on like how bad that they were going to get beat. I love the combo or parlay idea of like SpaceX will go public this year, Tesla's stock will be over X amount, and the Niners win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, bet 10 to win 3,000. Like that type of stuff I think is like pretty amazing. I think that's ultimate degen economy right there.
Yeah. This is made for me.
Like I'm worried about the sports gambling apps. Like I don't know how, like they've got so much more competition now.
That's what I was saying, because I was early with DraftKings because I was excited. I was like, inevitably every single state is gonna open this up. They're gonna need revenue somehow. So marijuana, all this stuff, the vices they'll have to start taking in. But now I'm hesitant. Obviously, I agree. Like I think some of these that are all encompassing apps will take over. You only have so much time.
I guess if you're a sports gambling guy and like that's your thing, like the prediction market apps will maybe never have enough of what you need. Mm-hmm. But like, if you're a Robinhood user or another brokerage app, and like this is just another way to like, take money or wallet share and take money. Like if once sports gambling comes to California, it's gonna be hard for them to get me to open up an account when like, I can casually do it already. And I can do the parlay combo stuff.
One thing I'm concerned about is be interested in your take from an investor perspective is like, you mentioned Trump coming into office, opening up financial markets. Midterm elections right now on Polymarket are showing a blue wave coming back, especially if there's not a huge pickup in inflation or the economy, or the bottom half of the economy doesn't feel like we're headed in the right direction. Do you feel like this is going to provide a further moat for those with regulation like Robinhood to knock out, any of these small apps that are doing prediction markets, because Robinhood's because you have a blue regime, you have blue wave coming in, you have a new president potentially that's not going to be red in 2028. And I think they're going to lay down the hammer on a lot of the crypto stuff that's been happening, a lot of, prediction markets, VPN usage, everything. I see it being reflexive back. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think like we're seed investors, so we always have to look 10 years out. Like regulation comes and goes. I think like we've already taken down so much regulation to allow prediction markets. I don't think we wipe them away and go backwards, but like it's always been hard to get off the ground with new financial technology companies and like the smaller ones because like, first it took a ton of money to just acquire users, right? Like you can't just go on Facebook anymore and acquire users. And then you have all the costs from a regulatory perspective. Listen, I think that there'll be changes, especially if we see the Trump administration type candidates, maybe not in the White House, but I think like it's gonna be hard to do a full flip back to like no crypto, right? We've moved a lot far enough along with like stable coins and the infrastructure. And so will we maybe have some prosecution on pump and dumps and wash sales and like some of this meme stuff that seems like, kind of scammy? I think so, but I think prediction markets are here to stay at this point.
I want to shift gears. We'll get to Venezuela at the end because I definitely want to ask a few questions there. But was doing some research. You went to Chico State, and we're both new dads, and we're thinking. I always joke with my wife. I was like, "Hey, we have all this money like set aside for her, but is college going to exist? What's it going to look like in 18 years from now, right?" And so thinking about with AI, the education. I always said you can go to YouTube now and get the same education, right? AI amplifies that 10x. I don't even know what it would be like to be in college with AI, like writing your papers, figuring out these math equations so quickly. Like, what do what happens in your opinion? And you can be wrong here, but what do you think happens in college in the next 10, 15 years?
I have this conversation with my wife a lot, and I actually sit on the board of Chico State, so I feel like it's even tougher for me. But I say to Chico State, I mean, this reality is I think that like I don't think as many kids are going to go to college, and I don't think the 4-year college is as necessary. Like I always thought like a lot of like the general education that was forced, like it's not only a waste of money, but like I think the biggest thing of college is the college experience and just like growing up and learning. Like in Chico State, you learn to like, if you drink too much, how do you get to school the next day? Right. And make it for that next test. Right. Like it's a survival thing. And like, Chico State's always been good at like graduating people that are good at sales because they're good at like networking and just, people person. I think that it's great that the 529 plans can be converted to like IRAs in the future and can also be used for other types of education. But I think with how quick AI is doing things, like I think we're going to be needing to learn more social skills and creativity thinking. Like I think I always think about this for the investment world, like the junior analysts, like, you used to like look for somebody that had Excel skills, then it was VBA skills, then it was Python and a CFA. Like now it's like all of that stuff can be automated. You need people for at least traditional investing that can like talk to management, go to an event and find like unique catalysts and like have creative thoughts on like, what's the third order of this, Venezuela stuff. And besides the oil, what are other opportunities, right? AI can help you think through that, but it's like, how do you prompt it to think about, what that bigger opportunity is? I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation in colleges just overall. There's too many colleges. And I think like colleges are going to have to really revamp what they're offering.
There's a cabal of people in Oregon where I live in Bend from Chico, and you're right, like they are like scrappy, good at sales. It seems like one of them like organized a big happy hour, and it's just like 20 Chico people of just like entrepreneurs. So I agree with that. I also think getting the attention economy right. So like finding like the junior analyst that can capture attention, whether it's like either through YouTube creation, TikTok or something, you're going to want those people because they know there's going to be so much noise with AI creation. You got to find people that can like connect with people.
I think it's also these AI tools. Like, we have a guy on our team who's like just graduated. What he can do with all of these tools, and like he knows every tool I feel like out there. Like I feel like I'm like playing with some of these tools, but like this 10x, like we don't need to write an investment memo at Social Leverage for investments anymore, right? We use note takers when we take meetings with founders. We get all of their pitch decks. All this other stuff comes in. we feed it into a trained AI that we already have, which isn't that complicated with what our investment memos were looking like in the past. It does 98% of the work within like 2 minutes. Like I can write an investment memo after a meeting I found it. Say again?
That is interesting because I figured VCs just get inundated with, new companies constantly, right? So I'd imagine you guys are using AI to do that. But how do you measure the investor's grit? Because a lot of VCs will say you invest in the investor versus in the company.
You invest in the person. It's the founder, right? Yeah. I mean, our investment memo process is at the end. So like I don't have that work of 2 weeks of writing it. We're still taking the meetings. I mean, listen, it goes back to we think that you should meet the founders in person, have a meal with them, understand what makes them tick. Like what about like their past experiences or their upbringing gives them that grit, that survival. Maybe they were an immigrant coming to the US and had to do something, or family, like there's something about it. Like what gives them that hustle? Did they go to Chico State and they want to prove all the Harvard kids wrong that like doesn't matter where you go to school? Like something's got to be there. But yeah, I think it goes back to spending time with people. Like I think I spend more time, in Zooms and then taking in-person meetings than having to do the grunt work anymore. Right.
Yeah. Jody, I got another one, but if you want to pop. So the biggest news obviously is Venezuela. You look on Twitter and it depends, I'm sure, who's behind the algorithm or whose account it is. What I'm seeing is a lot of Venezuelans in New York and throughout the US that are cheering and super happy, right? Because they were able to escape and they realized what was happening with Maduro. The folks, and we just actually talked with Mauricio, who's the CEO of Ledn right before you, who's from Venezuela, who had his mining rigs ripped out from his family firsthand, gave us like a very intense recollection of what it was like growing up there. But like when we look at the media today, what I'm seeing is it's like Trump goes on, he's like, we've captured Venezuela, it's ours now. But the reality is there's a vice president that just went in, the military is still behind it. So this is not like a snap your finger, we can go to Venezuela and we're citizens, of Venezuela. What are those? The trade was, obviously oil was like the headline, very easy for people to take a look at that one. But what are those third orders that you're looking at? And, how does someone like you with, do you guys have like satellite imagery and you're able to see, where boats are coming to make that next trade? Talk to us a little bit about that and what you think those other trades that are still able to be made are out there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the big investment firms are probably looking at like also a lot of the debt, right? Because a lot of those bonds being repaid now, and like there's a lot of money that was probably being made on like buying debt at 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. And now like they think that's all going to get repaid. The satellite imagery stuff and the location data, like for the good firms, they have access to that. And like you're quickly going to see like how the manufacturing is going to change and how much is coming in and out. Import export data as well. Like all of that is accessible for every firm that like has a team that knows where to look. Like there's data vendors out there doing that. I think that will be a huge opportunity. I think most firms are going to probably think of like the second and third order. Like let's get past the energy. Like let's get past like the big Chevrons and everybody of the world. And what are the local companies? Like which companies are there? And then like look at supply chain and product segmentation and who has the biggest exposures to Venezuela. I mean, some of that stuff is easy to do through Bloomberg terminals. And then some of it is like, you've got to like have like localized data access. But I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then like what kind of manufacturing can be done there and what kind of tariffs are going to be on Venezuela, if any. Are we going to start to see a lot of product come in from those type of places? And also look at like which of the big companies that are based in the US and abroad have any manufacturing facilities or warehouses in Venezuela. And do you see a ramp up of like them because they have insight that the White House is going to like make that like a free trade zone of some sort. That's how I would kind of think about it.
Yeah. We had one of our friends, KT, that was on recently. I think he was calling out, not financial advice, but calling out Chevron is his favorite pick because they were an oil manufacturer.
That's the easy one though, right? That's if you're an allocator to a hedge fund and they've got Chevron and they put on that position today, that's fine. But you might look at it and then it's just beta. There's no real alpha there anymore. Like what's like the third and fourth, like down the list that like nobody else is, because you're going to have your hedge fund crowding. Like I'm sure that's a crowded trade at this point. And so who else is out there that's not at the top of that list where you can make, multiples of your money, not just, a nice growing dividend.
Do you say, so you mentioned like with there'll be a lot of, not M&A, but like the schools will start to like come together. There's gonna be a lot less schools. We talked about how, you know, in one lens, you could see how corporations just getting bigger as we've seen over the past, past 10, 20 years, just mammoths just collecting everything. Like what is it, like 70% of the S&P is like 7 companies, right? So does that trend continue? Or we also talked about these 3 to 10 person companies starting to take off. Like where do you see as a seed investor? You have to look 10 years in advance, right? So how do you see the world kind of evolving? Do we live in a world where UBI is finally coming? Some of these lower level jobs that AI can take, it's kind of been that common thread, but it is a reality, right? Like these massive companies are doing big layoffs. Eventually they're not going to have jobs. So UBI has to come in, I'd imagine, but would love your thoughts in that.
I think a lot of the tasks that we don't want to do and don't need to do will go away. I think there'll be new jobs that come of it. I think there's a lot of studies of like, the internet was going to change things. Listen, like I don't need 5 analysts on our team if we manage another $1 billion, but like there's other things that there's still the hunting and creative and meeting. And like, so I think we'll start to have more efficiency. I think people will be able to do more with less. I think when it comes to those big companies, like I think there's a ton of M&A that will continue to happen at like the $100 million to $1 billion level. So I think companies will get taken out quicker. I always struggle with like how many IPOs have we seen bigger than 3 to 5 billion in the last, couple years.
Yeah.
Like, I know we have SpaceX coming, but that's going to take a lot of liquidity out of the market. Stripe eventually has to go public, but like we haven't seen a ton of $100 billion plus IPOs over the years. So like I worry there's a lot of companies that were still out there that were like the hype of, like call it like the 2021 valuations that were overdone, and like those got to get tucked in to the big guys, or like they're just going to slowly disappear. We have this new wave. I don't think everything's going to go public. I also think with tokenization coming, like maybe companies don't need to really go public, and we'll have this like private markets type of feel where like companies stay private a lot longer. I think liquidity wise though, tokenization is great for everybody, right? Like seed investor, like company gets a $1 billion plus in valuation, we can sell off and not have to take a huge discount trying to find some private investor. There's just more liquidity out there. So I don't know. I think the strongest companies get stronger, which is, also scary, but we're going to see $10 trillion companies.
Yeah. I think that's with something like Stripe is a good example. Early employees, like Stripe is, I think, done a good job of opening up like these gray markets or opening up, the private sales from early employees to cash out, or just, secure their financial future, which is sometimes only available to executives during like a big funding round. So I think it's really good. Hoping that tokenization brings that to everyone. So early SpaceX employees are getting able to like sell out to a broader liquid market that like values what it's worth.
Get rid of these SPVs into SPVs that like you see are being sold through emails, or it always worries me that like I go on like social media and there's like SPVs into these late stage companies being done, and they've got huge like upfront fee, like no management fees, no carry, but it's like a 10% one-time fee, and I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah. Going to SpaceX, you brought up a good point that I started to tap into. I didn't know the full answer though, but I was going through ChatGPT, and then now I've been using Gemini quite a bit to dig into stuff. And I saw this trend where, like you mentioned, there hasn't been a lot of huge IPOs recently, but you mentioned something interesting, that it sucks a lot of the liquidity out of the market because all the money's going from other stocks basically to SpaceX here. So I saw a trend where it's like the last few ones. I think Facebook was the last like major one that they talked about. But like you can short the S&P basically the next 2 weeks, and that's been like a pretty consistent trade. Has that changed? I mean, there hasn't been enough probably data points to like feel fully confident in, but like you're saying, it just logically makes sense.
I think it logically makes sense. I mean, I think those are like little arb trades that like every hedge fund does and market maker does. So like for the average person like us, like sure there's some money to be made. I don't know if it's like life changing. It's kind of like playing the index rebalance game, and like when the indices now are going to like push somebody in and push somebody out, like there's money to be made there, but like at the same time, like there's hundreds of billions of strategies that are automated on just playing that game. So I always kind of look at like, I don't get up in the morning excited about that investment, because it's just like you say, can the little guys really make any money there? Like it's a tough call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another one.
Yeah. How are you feeling, I guess, generally with, as we talk about a lot with obviously the Bitcoin side is the debasement trade. And then now you see large Wall Street firms, someone like Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, talking about the debasement trade. And they're initially talking about gold and silver and, different like hard assets. But now with Venezuela news, people are like, wow, like you really do need something that you can't, that can't be confiscated or can't be affected by, someone coming in, money printing or confiscating, such as the U.S. Coming in and taking over Venezuela. So how are you feeling, I guess, from the lens of a debasement trade angle going into your investments?
I mean, listen, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. I kind of put it on the hat of the wealth management industry is now fully waking up to the idea of allocating to like something outside of gold and silver, and like Bitcoin is the easiest thing. And you brought up Morgan Stanley. I think Morgan Stanley filed for Ethereum and Solana ETFs the other day, and like they have something else coming also. Like, so I think it's going to become part of everybody's portfolio. And so I kind of just look at like, if I just think about Bitcoin and in general, like the volatility is always there, but I think it's not going anywhere for the long run. And I think it's necessary now from a political standpoint, people want a place that they can go that's not tied to a specific government.
Yeah. Trying to pull this quote that you, here it is. So I was reading on your Twitter. You said two quotes that I want to touch on. So the people preaching for these people to stop gambling have failed to understand the predicament of prisoners. This isn't financial illiteracy. It is revealed preference under constraint. And then you also wrote, the traditional path of wealth accumulation is closed. It's not just not difficult, it's closed. And the math doesn't support patience anymore. So curious about that, because you guys, I mean, I think you're in the right space if you're betting on the degenerate economy. But the broader thing here that I'm thinking about is like our generation and even the younger generation, they're looking up and they don't see this exit where you can work that 9-to-5 job anymore, support a family, send your kids to college. Like you have to be working multiple jobs. People, and that's why they're going for these parlays, in life. The reality is like you feel like you're underwater and you have to win the lottery in order to like even make it. There's so much wealth allocated at the top. And these generations, if you look at, there's this one chart of like the price of homes versus salary that I always think about. And our parents are like, you guys are lazy, yada, yada, yada. The reality is it's a different game we're playing, right? And so we don't have that luxury of working a 9-to-5 and whatnot. So do you think that continues, that trend just like continues to that wealth gap continues? And when that generation dies out, that money's going to come to the next generation. Does that change things? Like, I'm just curious in general how you feel.
Yeah, I think I quoted somebody that wrote that piece that went viral over the weekend or something. But yeah, I'll take the credit for it. I mean, listen, I think I always think about that. Like I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. So like, I think about like my younger siblings, like, I don't know how it makes sense that like, an average home is like $1 million, but
it's crazy.
It's hard to think about like, how are my kids going to afford a home? Like I live in San Diego. Like I just can't wrap my head around like, they always say home prices are always going to go up. Like I can't imagine my home price doubling in the next 10, 20 years. And then like, what are my kids going to do? They're definitely not living here. Yeah. I think it's why there's all these side hustles, like we're investors in Beehive, which is like the Substack editor. Everybody has a newsletter. They're selling the courses, they're building like their own side businesses. Like, I think it's why like the degen economy of trading and parlays, like, I was trying to hire an intern a year ago and our, associate on our team was like, he's like, none of these kids in college want to work unless like they're getting paid like a crazy amount for an internship because they feel like they could just like day trade and sports bet and make the same amount of money. So yeah, I think it's a real reality. I don't know how that gap closes. And I just, honestly, I don't see it closing.
How's it end? More importantly, that's where I'm concerned. There is some depopulation happening, but not at the rate of jobs probably disappearing. And we've never seen anything. I mean, like you mentioned with the internet, I don't think we've ever seen anything like potential of AI. Now, I think it is overplayed, and we have thankfully the energy crisis to like deal with as well. Like, do we have the capacity for this much AI? But what is it? Moore's law? Not Moore's law. Is it where it's just like continues to go up and up and up, and eventually, Yeah,
I mean, listen, I think that maybe we start to see like, like Austin and Nashville weren't cool cities to live in 15 years ago, maybe, right? So like, what are going to be the next cities that start to pop up? Like, there's still homes in this world you can buy for 150,000. Yeah. Those cities start to build up, and like with AI, we can all be more remote. We don't have to be in big cities. You don't have to live in New York. So I think like that will start to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think like people will be able to, there'll be smaller towns that have different things, but like, the wealth gap of like, if you want to go to the biggest cities, I think they're going to get more and more expensive, right? Like going to Europe in the summer is not getting any cheaper for tourism.
Right.
Yeah. Or near you, Disney World or Disneyland.
Legoland.
It's cheaper to fly to Japan, go to Disney World Japan than it is to go to the one in Orlando.
The one out here in California is not cheap either.
Yeah. How do you stay up with as you, not saying you're old in any capacity, but as we all age, how do you stay up with the trends? Do you constantly? It's like that. Was that the movie? It's like the people stay the same age, but we keep getting older.
I think we have kids, right? The kids keep us young.
Your kids come in and give you the trend. I think Howard actually.
I mean, my kids are really young. Howard always says his kids give him the trend. I mean, I've got kids that are 6, 4, and 1, so like I've got a lot of years of learning from them. I also have younger siblings, so like that's helpful. You got to be I think in the seat that I'm in, like we got to constantly be reading and like consuming information out there, and like also learning from your network, like build a network. I think also for me, it's exciting because we're with these founders, so we're learning from them all the time. Like I think we do a monthly founder call, and like some of these founders get on and talk about the tools they're using to grow their business, and like eye opening just to hear about like a founder getting off the ground and he's using 3, 4, 5 different tools that cost him $5,000 a month, but he's like automated everything but what he actually has to work on, which is pretty cool to watch.
I guess to wrap it up too, what trends, I guess, besides AI, because like we've been talking about AI, everyone's talking about AI, no one wants to hear it anymore, right? So what are some trends that are undervalued right now that you see over the next 5 to 10 years? Just, if you create an ETF essentially around the thematic there, number one, and then, feel free to pump your bags, any portfolio companies that may be in there. Feel free to shout those out.
I mean, listen, we like the wealth management space. It's boring, but I think the whole world of how wealth is being managed, and like we're all, these ultra rich are becoming their own family offices, and there's lots of complexities there. But I think also like when you have less money, how do you manage that money properly, and think about taxes and your future and everything. So that's an exciting area. We do a lot of wealth tech investing. I mean, boring for a lot, but I like is also the data space, like just financial data. All these firms are trading. Now we have prediction markets brings another layer. I think we're going to see these companies built with 50 people that compete with the companies that have tens of thousands of employees. So I think that's a big trend of, we talk about what are all these people going to do? The whole offshoring thing. What do we do with all of these companies that use offshore employees that don't need that anymore, or that need like 50 people offshore instead of 50,000 because we have AI tools? So I think that's exciting. And then I think, we always used to invest in vertical SaaS, and now I think it's vertical AI. So I think like AI for specific use cases in specific industries, whether that's specific parts of law or that's specific parts of, our consumer lives. I think that's an exciting trend that we're seeing. And then all things degen, I don't think that's going away.
Yeah. So recommendation for someone that's like a freshman in Chico, would you say, there's so many like AI tools people spin up, these polymarket trading bots, etc. But vertical SaaS, but vertical AI, is that what we would recommend, like focusing on, like how do you make AI applicable and easy to use?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I'm talking to the freshmen at Chico, it's like go focus on your network and building out like relationships and get to events and not just stay on the internet, like these in-person events. Like Howard always puts on with StockTwits, Stocktoberfest. There's tons of free tickets for students. Get there, meet people, and I'm like, your job is to learn. Like, don't worry about that first job. Go work somewhere big, like Facebook or somewhere where you can like learn what it is to have a job, and then like go all in on what interests you, right? Like I think like vertical AI for like it could be as it could be landscaping if that's like your passion, right? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of use cases there and a lot of opportunity. Like I always liked the markets, so like Bloomberg is where I landed, and like it kind of took off from there. But like I think if anything, like with AI now, like you should be able to make money in anything that really interests you. There's so many use cases to be able to build like wealth around that.
And how fast you can make them now, or like an MVP at least to come and show, someone you build.
Right.
What are your thoughts on distribution? Because like, we always tackle that with ourselves. Like we'll pop on a podcast. Sometimes we'll get 10,000. Sometimes we'll get 1,000 people showing up. It's kind of you're at the whim of the algorithm, right? So
that's the biggest thing in this world now, right? It's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. I mean, so people always say build a newsletter because you own the Gmail, but Gmail owns that ultimately, or like whoever you're going through, and how many newsletters can you read, and people archive them and whatnot. So like, who do you think the big winners are? We've seen like the folks like Mr. Beast, who's kind of on his own echelon. There's like all these other influencers that I can't even keep up with them, So how do we live in a world where everyone's an influencer? Like who's the buyer?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think two things. I think, if you had to be technical to start a company 5 years ago, I think now with AI and tooling, like distribution and sales is more important. Like I'm more excited to see a company that their tech is good, but not great, but they figured out sales and distribution. Then we can hire engineers in there. Yeah. Sales solves everything, right? I think on top of that, you got to build your own brand. Like I do think that the newsletter is important. I think like you have to be consistent in building the content and being an expert in something. Like there's a reason we invested in Beehive and why like everybody has a newsletter, but like there's something really powerful about having your own list of, your followers. We're invested in a company called Punch Up. Danny Frankel worked at Facebook or Meta for many years, and he started this company to help comedians better manage their fan base, which seems like so simple, but like now they know they get the email, right? They know every single person that's a fan of theirs. They can figure out now that everything's about the data and the AI underneath, right? Danny can tell them where to tour, who their fan base are, how do they reach them? It's not just email, but hey, your Instagram is actually working if you do it between these time zones. He owns the ticketing side, so in the venues, and you tie all that together. Like the biggest comedians from Aziz Ansari to Sam Morril are using Punch Up now, and they can post something. All you have to do is give the email, and now he has 500,000 fans email. Like it's a really powerful way. Like anybody with data knows if you get the email, then it's probably not too hard to get to the phone number. Get the phone number, what zip code they're in. You can start to play the game, and like
fans in town does that too.
Yeah, like I love Punch Up as a consumer because like now I know every comedian that's coming to town, and one click I can go see the show, and like I don't have to go to YouTube and figure out like is Dave Chappelle coming to San Diego? Probably not, but like weirdly enough, Seinfeld came to Temecula, which is like 40 minutes from here.
That's cool. I had not heard of Punch Up, but I'm a big comedy guy, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
You got one more.
That's where all the comedians are now. Punchup.live.
That's amazing. Joe, do you got anything you want to wrap it up here?
I mean, I was reading last night. Like Beehive has a good podcast / newsletter called Creator Spotlight. So I definitely recommend that to the audience.
I like Tyler's. His own personal one's actually pretty good.
His personal one is good. He builds in public.
Yeah. And he like had good recommendations on how to grow his own. And then the Creator Spotlight, I think, is really good for people to follow because you really need to invest 6 months in building an audience before you try to like monetize it and try to bring in.
Yeah, don't worry about the monetization for all these things comes later, right? They have a built-in ad network. If you get enough followers like that, the revenue will come.
Yeah. We'll have to bring Howard on, and maybe we'll bring you guys both back at some point. But Matt, it's a pleasure to have you on. And thanks for everyone listening. Go to 21rates.com/stack. Give us your email, and you can enter in, and you get free Bitcoin. So every Friday, Matt, we give away Bitcoin for the Friday stack.
Awesome.
So we're starting to create that HQ-like environment back in the day. I don't know if you remember that, but that's
I do.
Building up, and we're going live. So thanks so much for popping on, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you, Matt.